As Budget 2024 places more emphasis on increased collection of government revenue through improved tax administration, Treasury Secretary Mahinda Siriwardena says that the government is confident in achieving the revenue expectations next year. Delivering the keynote address at an expert panel discussion organised by the Centre for Banking Studies under the theme Decoding the National Budget 2024 Priorities Revealed, Siriwardena says that the Budget 2024 is mainly focused on the tax earnings imposed on corporate and personal income, value-added tax and taxes on alcohol, tobacco and fuel. He also said that VAT exemptions will help the estimated revenue target, while the Budget 2024 ensures a primary deficit of 0.8% of the GDP.
On the fiscal aspects, government tax revenue has grown by 50% in the first half of 2023 compared to the corresponding period in 2022. The country has achieved a primary surplus in the first half of 23, following a primary deficit of 5.7% of GDP in 2021. In 2022, the 52 large SOEs accounted for a collective loss of 722 billion in the first 8 months of 2022. But this has converted into a profit of 313 billion in the corresponding period of this year. Gross official reserves exceed 3.5 billion US dollars. The improved foreign exchange liquidity in the banking system have enabled the normalization of supply chains and basic consumption. We all are still in relatively early stages of a long and difficult road to a complete recovery. Nobody can claim that the stability is fully entrenched. There is no room for complacency and deviate from this reform path. The budget ensures a balance of revenue and expenditures to enable a primary surplus of 0.8% of GDP in 2024. Revenue growth is ensured by measures already introduced, and significant attention is paid to enhancing tax administration, compliance, and digitalization. Revenue growth in 2024 is ensured by measures already introduced and reforms to the VAT structure, in particular, amendments to VAT Act. The vast majority of VAT exemptions will be eliminated, and this will significantly add to revenue in 2024. The already announced increase in the VAT rate will also have a material revenue impact. At the same time, the elimination of import restrictions, except for passenger motor vehicles, will result in normalization of imports in 2024. This will also have a significant upside on border taxes, social security contribution levy from imports. With the recent changes, the tax structure is largely in place with a focus on corporate and personal income tax, VAT, and co-excises on alcohol, tobacco, and fuel. The government's focus now is on enhancing tax administration, compliance, and digitalization. We are confident that the combination of widening the VAT base, increase in VAT rate, removal of import restrictions, recovery of economic activity, and in particular tax administration efforts, the revenue required to support the 2024 budget will be met. This will enable us to meet the IMF's primary balance target of 0.8% of GDP and ensure the program remains on track. Sri Lanka has asked its external creditors to accept significant losses in their holdings of Sri Lankan debt. Creditors will be keeping a close eye on this budget to assess whether Sri Lanka is keeping on its commitments in establishing fiscal consolidation as the country's contribution towards achieving debt sustainability. Sri Lanka has already provided all groups of creditors with indicative restructuring scenarios that will enable the achievement of the debt reduction targets set by the IMF. That is, the reduction of debt to GDP ratio from 128% of GDP to less than 95% of GDP in 2032, reduction of gross financing needs from 34.6% of GDP in 22 to less than 13% of GDP on average during 27-32 period, restricting external debt service to GDP from 9.4% in 22 to less than 4.5% in 27-32 period. It is now up to the external creditors to come to an agreement with Sri Lankan authorities on a debt treatment that helps achieve these targets. China Exim Bank has already come to an understanding with Sri Lanka. The next step would be for the official creditor committee, co-chaired by Japan, India, and France, to provide a similar understanding. We are very hopeful that this will be materialized soon.